All to stand for the opening prayer and the Pledge of Allegiance.
Lord, we are meeting here tonight to conduct matters of business. Guide our hearts and our minds in the spirit of fairness, right thought, and speech. Impart your supreme wisdom upon our activities so that our affairs may reach a successful conclusion. Thank you for being the source of our guidance tonight. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Exactly.
To the people in the audience, this program is televised. We have 3 cameras in the building. 1, 2, 3, or over here. You're welcome to come up, give your name. You don't have to give your address or your phone number, and speak in the podium. When you come up, you might have to change that microphone down because sometimes we cannot hear you, and the people in the back cannot either. It'll come on Wednesday for 2 weeks on channel 191, Charter Communications. Channel 191, Charter Communication. Approval of, I didn't do my roll call. Roll call, please.
Lorraine.
Present.
Shoemaker. Present. Mathis.
Here.
Krug is present. Kessler.
Here.
Gopel.
Here.
Tucker.
Present.
You have a full board.
Approval of tonight's agenda. Are there any requested amendments to tonight's agenda?
Yes, I'd like to request a short closed session at the end of this to discuss pending litigation matters, please. Promise it'll be short.
I know.
Okay, anyone else? And put it at the end of mine, so I don't forget. Okay. All right, included in the packet are the minutes for the July 23rd meeting and the July 25th special meeting and the August 2nd special meeting. Are there any corrections or request revisions for these the meeting minutes?
You need to vote on the agenda.
Okay.
I move we approve the agenda as amended.
Support.
And any other discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion is carried. There was no questions in regards to the meeting minutes. Then the meeting minutes stand approved as presented. Expenditures, are there any questions regarding any of the expenditures?
Madam Supervisor, I would like to withhold a couple of the checks till I can get detail. It's one that we didn't go out for bids on, and I just don't understand the billing.
And what it is?
And these are the 2 checks going to FJ Jack Belzer PC and Klein and Griffin Attorneys at Law.
Okay. Tom, do you want to take those totals off the total and tell me what that total would be? Are there any other requests for the regarding of any of the invoices? A motion is in order to approve the expenditures totaling $239,888.60 for payment. Do I have a motion?
Tell me, my computer is updating while I'm.
Oh, you're right, I want to change that.
Is that the old
No.
amount or is that the new amount?
Tom needs to.
That's the old
I'm
amount.
looking those up right now.
amount would be $230,766.10.
$766.10.
So moved.
Support.
Any further discussion? Roll call.
I vote yes. Mathis?
Yes.
Kessler?
Yes.
Shoemaker?
Yes.
Gopel?
Yes.
Tucker?
Yes.
Lorraine?
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right, public hearings. 4 Lakes Street Improvement Special Assessment District. This hearing is on a special assessment roll. This is a public hearing on the special assessment roll for 4 Lakes Street Improvement Special Assessment District. The proposed assessment amount is $1,699.12 for parcels fronting the improvement, $1,274.34 for parcels fronting Emerald Point, and $424.78 for parcels fronting Crystal Cove Court. The assessments, if approved, would be spread over a 5-year period. We will now open up the hearing regarding the following: an individual's assessment in relationships to benefits received, the total cost of the project, and the validity of the proceedings to date.
Before you do that, Madam Supervisor, as you know, I am in that assessment district. So I would request that I be given permission to not participate in this particular matter, as I have a direct financial interest in the matter.
I can make a motion.
You want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion.
I'll
Second.
support it.
All right, roll call.
Kessler?
Yes.
Gopel?
Yes.
I vote yes. Shoemaker?
Yes.
Lorraine?
Yes.
Mathis?
Yes.
You can't vote, so.
Who?
Present.
Tucker.
I was just asking Jack that. That
Come
was
on,
my
don't tell me
belief.
no more. All right, I'm going to open up to public comment. Would you please come up and just speak loudly and express your feelings in regards to this matter or any questions that we can answer for you? Good.
Good evening. My name is Mike Miller.
Mike Miller, you have to talk a little louder.
Okay. My name's Mike Miller. Is that better?
Yep.
I sent in a letter in. I didn't know if it was received regarding the assessment. I see that the amount of this assessment has went up by almost 18% since the signatures went through. I think that's a problem. I live on Crystal Cove Court, so I'm looking at the benefit from this road, which I understand that, having access is a benefit. In the letter that I wrote up, I showed that we get about 220 feet of access to our road, which is the most traveled portion of the improvement. That improvement is 6,864 feet if you go by the 1.3 miles. The math's pretty easy to figure out how much it costs per linear foot for a 2-lane road. I mean, I think that should be taken into account for us, as we don't get the same benefit as everybody on this improvement. So I would hope that you would take that into account. That 0.25% at $400 and some a piece would pay for that whole portion of the road. And it's the most traveled, and everybody uses it. I don't have a problem paying a portion of that, but I want it to be fair. Thank you.
Tom, would you like to, before they ask questions, explain to them how this 18% came about? Or do they already know that?
18%.
He's saying there's an 18%.
The increase? And why it was increased?
The original estimated assessment has been $200,000 since the beginning. That includes
Okay.
construction, township administrative costs, and financing costs.
But in the letters that we received, it said $170,000 was the total amount. That was just the number that was given for the assessment. Didn't have anything about additional fees or management or anything like that. So the people that signed the paperwork or the petition petition called out $170,000, or in that range.
Okay, so you're talking not letters from the township, but letters from,
Letters from
Okay.
for the petition.
okay. I know the original total we worked with from day one has been 200,000 as far as the total assessment, and we're still there.
That's not what we saw.
Well, I mean, but that cost may not have included the financing costs or the township.
I understand, but
administrative
people are signing a petition being shown a given amount and estimates on what they were going to be paying.
Well, and in the first hearing, those costs were laid out, and people did have an opportunity to comment on that.
And we had people from our road that did.
That's true.
Okay. But as far as an assessment, I think that this is way out of line.
What he's saying though, Tom, I think, is it took a long time for all of you to get together and finally decide to sign this.
We never signed it.
No, but maybe not you, but in general, I'm just saying, to sign this and get it approved to get going on the road. Well,
Yes.
then, from my understanding, it got to be too late, and they wouldn't be able to have done it this year. So I was thinking, Tom, that increase was due to possibly doing it next year because prices are going to increase.
No.
So we don't know next year's bid. We gotta send it back for another bid.
Well, if the township board decided to change something, but at this point, they have a bid, and they're ready to, the project is ready to move forward now. This isn't, we have property owners on Crystal Cove Court who are objecting to the cost that they're being assessed. And there
Yes.
a few letters on that, we've had some comment on that. The roll is proposed at this point. If the board feels that changes are necessary, that can still be accomplished during this hearing.
All right, does that answer your questions?
I didn't really have a question. I just wanted to make sure that everybody understood
Everybody
what the
understood.
math adds up to, because this doesn't make any sense. We've talked to other townships where this has come up in other situations, and they fixed it, because the math's not hard.
It just depends on the formula.
Right.
Yeah,
No, I get it.
absolutely, on which formula you're using. Is there anyone else that would like to speak?
Good evening. My name is Curtis. I also live on Crystal Cove Court. To kind of help clarify, I think what he was talking about, the initial letter that that was given out with the petitions to sign stated, now shame on me, I didn't bring it with me, but it was in bold that it would cost the estimate was $170,000, and it even said the estimate was the estimate that was given to the township. Now, my wife and I had recently met with Mr. Broker after that last meeting and asked for a copy of that estimate, and the estimate was $186,000.
106?
$186,000. So an increase of $16,000 and some change. Aside from that, more going back towards the use of the initial entry that everybody uses, I don't know if any of you, I would assume Mr. Tucker could have some insight in it as well, since he lives in the neighborhood. That first almost 100 yards of that road, in my opinion, and in other opinions that I've gained, doesn't even need to be redone. So we're pretty much paying for a section of road that doesn't need to be redone at all.
Do you understand that we don't tell them what we want done? It's the residents.
Correct. I'm just making everybody aware of it. When you're asking how much we think we should be paying for it, that should be taken into consideration. It's a section of road that doesn't need to be done.
Sometimes they say, okay, they'll look at a road and they'll say, this road is good for so many miles, but then after that, within 2 years, it's going to fall apart.
Correct.
In the long run, they would rather have all the equipment and everything and finish that road. I don't know about this road. I don't know how they did it. It is, I went on the west side, the southwest side of the road, and drove down, and there was people from the southwest side, and they said no, it wasn't necessary. That was last year. I drove down the other day. It needs it. It really does need it. But you know, I'm not to say. It's up to you people.
Correct, which is why we're here saying it, is what I'm trying to say.
All right.
Okay, thank you.
Is there anyone else? We got two.
Hi, Jim Grote. I'm also a resident on Crystal Cove Court. So there's really two things that I have that are issue for me with this proposal.
I gotta have you talk a little louder.
Jim Grote, also from Crystal Cove Court. I have two issues with the proposal. One is the fact that Crystal Cove Court wasn't taken into consideration when the bid was put forth for the road improvement. Our road is in as bad of shape as the other roads in the area, but we weren't considered as part of it. In fact, we weren't aware that this effort was even going on until later, once the petition actually came out for signature. But prior to that, we had no knowledge that this was going on. Second, the area out that's in question, that's the first 100 or so feet of the road, was resurfaced as part of the Crystal Cove Court Road resurfacing when the building was done in that area. So our subdivision paid for that area of road to be resurfaced, and now we're being asked to pay for that area as well as the rest of the road for resurfacing. So had Crystal Cove Court been part of the consideration, I'd probably feel a lot differently about it, but I'm opposed to it because of the fact that we weren't part of the consideration to begin with. We weren't aware of it, or at least I wasn't aware of it until very late in the process, and I also feel the assessment for our road is higher than it should be.
Okay, thank you. Yes, sir.
So once again, I'm Mark Shantz at 4144 Lakes. Couple things. I think the dollar amount, in fact, Tom, I called you about this. The letter that came out last did not indicate you could do a single payment option, which I know is an option for those who are in the special assessment district. So if you paid it off up front, that my wife and I intend to do if this passes, our cost would be less than somebody else's. So in the $200,000, and Tom, you can correct me if I'm wrong, I think that includes administration cost, the bond financing cost, and all the other numbers associated with it. Those who pay it, and I put this out on social media on the last week, those who pay this assessment, if it passes tonight, wouldn't pay that increase because you're paying what you just got in terms of the letter. And the letter you got in Crystal Cove in the past, I think, was in the neighborhood of $425. So the 18% difference, I think, is strictly, and again, you tell me if I'm wrong, administration costs plus the interest we pay to float the bond based on the bond market today.
Well, the costs we've been working with, as I said, right from the beginning, when you added in the township admin costs and the financing costs, the number we've been working with is roughly $200,000. That hasn't changed from the beginning. As far as paying it off, the amount of the assessment is the principal amount of the assessment if it's approved. So, and there'll be a minimum 30-day window from the time that the roll is confirmed where someone can pay that off and have zero interest. If someone doesn't want to pay it over the 5 years. So that option will be available to any property owner.
Okay. In terms of the road itself they're talking about, and again, as I stated 2 weeks ago, you can argue the assessment percentage, but the road today, after the rains, is collecting water. There are potholes, not huge, but they're forming. And as I've indicated to a number of people, you don't know what's below the asphalt. I don't. I don't think anyone does. So we really don't know, candidly, if that road's going to hold up for a year or two, or it's not. We don't. We thought this was the most prudent thing to do from a financial standpoint. And in terms of notifications, and again, I apologize for repeating myself, we have, for the last year and a half, notified people via social media. Admittedly, it's been social media on the Next Door Squamish Shores website and on the Lake Association website, where we've asked people to attend meetings, we've asked for volunteers, we've asked for ideas, and this has been going on for a year and a half. And admittedly, not everyone saw it. But the only other option we had, as I've stated, was we literally would have had sent letters to everybody, and that was 135 homes in this district. And I did do the stuff the mailbox once, and I was told you can't do that because the mail people will take them out. So just to kind of, settle this issue once and for all, we have in good faith attempted to involve the neighborhood. So, thank you.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak?
Can I just clarify one more thing?
Yep. Just talk a little louder.
I will.
There you go.
Okay, so I do have, if you guys would like to see it, this is, again, this was the circulation to receive signatures. Nothing in here does it say it's based off of a $200,000 with administration costs and everything that Mr. Broker was talking about. It says exactly this. It says, those in attendance at the meeting agreed to accept the bid from Eastern Asphalt, a copy of which is attached for $170,205.63. Now, below all that is the assessment totals of the number breakdown of everything. So, but again, $170,000 is a lot different from $186,000 or the total of $200,000. So again, that this circulation was sent out to gain signatures is incredibly misleading to the actual price of the bid.
Okay.
Is the assessment numbers the same as the assessment numbers that we're using? So if it's $1,543 per parcel per year, is that the same
No,
numbers that we're using?
no, it's not. Thank you.
Tom, do you know, all right, may I ask, do you have an association?
No.
No, okay. That's a problem, right there.
Well, yeah, it's easier for me to speak from here, but I'll speak to the mic if you want. Again, this whole process got started because people, as we said at the first meeting, were concerned that the snow plowing contract that was been in place for 3 years, we are running a negative deficit. Every year was going negative. There was absolutely no oversight. Somebody was just signing off on it with whatever invoices that came across. As a group of concerned neighbors, there was probably 15 of us, thought that we needed some oversight. So we basically got together as a neighborhood group. Nothing formal, very informal, but we invited everyone to these meetings in our different houses and evolved into a conversation on the road. What are we going to do about the road? It's starting to crack. It's starting to get potholes. Bob was gracious enough last year to fill the potholes for free, but the asphalt is spidering in many, many places. It's breaking up in places. It's all signs it's going to break up good. Decision to become a nonprofit association, road association, with myself as the president, will be made after this meeting. I don't want to go through the process, candidly, if this thing was going to get turned down. I didn't see the point, just for snow plowing. So if we do that, we're going to have insurance policy in place, liability insurance, and a homeowners and a road association that will have officers that have already been selected, and we'll move forward that way. And we'll set the paperwork for it probably starting tomorrow. But I didn't want to go through that process until we had a decision. I didn't see the need to have a road association if we're just going to be dealing with snow plowing.
Tom, would you be willing to meet with this gentleman after the election, like one day next week, and sit down with comparing these figures with the other figures? Because like you said, we want to get this done. If we're going to do it, we want to get it done.
Yeah, and these are not figures that I came up with, by the way, so I don't want anybody here to think that this is Mark Schantz's numbers. These are numbers that we've been given.
Has done this so much, but I think there's just a little misunderstanding.
I'm not sure what numbers they had in their initial communication. I just know
that makes a difference,
from the very
yeah.
beginning. Well, but that's not township communication, though. The number we've worked with right from the start ended up with a total estimated assessment of $200,000, and we're still there. So there has not been, from the township's perspective, there hasn't been an increase.
All right, if
I
they
can't speak to what communication did or didn't take place.
Excuse me, Tom, could you speak up?
just talk a little louder.
what I was saying was that the number has not changed since we began the process. The township doesn't have any control over what communications may or may not have happened amongst the property owners, right? I'm not saying they did anything wrong or did. From our perspective, 200,000 has been the number right from the very beginning through the whole process. So I understand the concern about the people in Crystal Cove Court. That's kind of a separate issue, but as far as the total cost, I don't see where there's been any change.
Where did the $200,000 figure come from?
From the estimate provided, or the proposal provided, plus township administrative costs, plus financing costs.
Because we got 2 quotes from 2 different companies to do the road. And that's what we had in the proposal that we sent around.
And you picked the one you want. See, we don't pick any of that. That's what Tom is saying.
So is the 200,000 like an estimate?
It's a firm number at this point because you've got a proposal for 186, $2,000 in township administrative cost reimbursement, and 11,500 in estimated financing
So it
costs.
does include those extra costs?
Yes.
So do you all have a paper signed for 200,000? Have you signed your name to?
Yeah. Well, it doesn't say 200,000 because we didn't know what the administrative costs were.
So do they have to get signatures
And I
again
believe
and get
the
that? No.
proposal was made by-
Nope. All right, you don't have to do the signatures again. All right, what is the next step that they would have to do now?
Really, it's in the board's hands at this point. We have a roll that's been certified and submitted to the township clerk. This is a hearing on the roll, and the board has to decide if they're going to confirm the roll as is, make changes. Those are really the 2 options.
Personally, I think we better put it up for a vote tonight to get your road done. I really do. I'm afraid if you wait and you get into a higher bid next year because of asphalt and labor and gasoline and that, it's going to be so much higher. And that's scary. At least we've got kind of a firm bid of 200,000. Is there anybody in here opposed to it?
First 3.
Oh, I just didn't hear you.
They're all in Crystal Cove.
This is all Crystal Cove Court because of the assessment. The percentage that they're asking us to pay is ridiculous.
Do we have to do that tonight?
Most we want to get it done.
You got your election tomorrow, though. Working on it.
Well, if the board feels that the cost should be changed, you can still do that. I'm not sure what.
So we can make the motion and get it going.
Well, no, you've got a roll, and we have a resolution to confirm the roll.
Yeah.
The resolution we can add language to that resolution, if you so choose, to amend the roll. If you say, if the board agrees, though, Crystal Cove Court should pay X instead of 424. That's an option. It's not something we've typically done, but the law does allow for that.
Okay.
If you feel that if the cost doesn't match the benefit.
All right, I'm going to ask the other board members, any comment, any discussion in regards to this? Okay, what I'm going to do, thank you. I'm going to close the public comment.
Can I make one more?
Oh,
Thank you.
yes, I didn't see your hand.
Do we know how many residents are in this neighborhood for this assessment? Is it 166?
I can tell you.
He's checking it out.
134.
134 properties.
So, I mean, you have 134 properties and you've got an assessment at this. Why can't you take that footage and divide it up by every person that's going to travel it? Because it is going to be the heaviest traveled section of that road from Ralston to the outside of Crystal Cove Court. Do the math. It's not hard. You can get a linear cost.
But the cost is for the whole project. We don't have a cost for just Four Lakes Avenue and just West Four Lakes and just, there's one cost for the whole project.
If you take the linear foot, it's going to tell you how much per linear foot it costs. You've got a total value. You've got 6,864 feet of linear road. Divide it up. Take the linear footage. Take 240 feet to take that entry and divide it by how many properties you have. That's what Crystal Cove should be paying. Like Jim said, they've already resurfaced that portion of the road once when they built the neighborhood. To have us repay for that again, I don't mind paying my fair share, I really don't. But this $400, it's ridiculous. I mean, I get no benefit other than getting to the house that I bought. So I'm gonna get charged to just get to my house is what's happening.
It just would, it wouldn't make,
We've never assessed
No.
on linear foot. We've always done on.
see on your road, a lot of your lots are about the same width. Now you come down a road, I'm gonna give you Log Cabin Point.
Yeah,
One side of Log Cabin Point is Casawego,
yeah.
and then Log Cabin Point. One man owned all the property, and he was assessed lineal feet. And it wasn't for him, Log Cabin Point, Log Cabin Point, and Casawego Road wouldn't have been built.
Okay.
And it happened to be my father. And in my mind, that was unfair, because to give everybody, and he would not refuse not doing it because of the other residents.
I understand.
But they were not going to pay for it. And he paid for both sides.
I understand exactly what you're saying, but the
Yeah.
thing is,
So
they're not
you wonder
resurfacing.
which way is the best way.
They're not resurfacing the road in front of our footage, our frontage.
Okay.
That's the problem. If we were involved in it, you wouldn't have one of us here complaining. We'd all be involved. We'd pay the full amount. But when you don't include us in the assessment or the improvement, why should I get assessed at the same rate as everybody else? I don't mind paying for the entryway as long as it's fair. Everybody's going to be driving on that road.
All right, hold on.
Jim, when was that?
This is the second reading, isn't it, Tom?
Well, it's the hearing on the roll.
Huh?
It is the final.
Yeah.
It's the hearing on the roll.
All right, gentlemen, I'm going to call a vote to get this thing either going or not going.
I have a couple.
You have a question?
If you let him speak, I'd like to get up there and make a comment, or I can make it from here.
Well, you can make it over there. If you,
You done?
no.
No, you had a question for me, I think.
No. We'll let you, definitely, you're welcome to talk.
Thank you so much.
There, go ahead. He had,
Well, when you talk about math, and
Yes, sir.
you know, I picture in my mind, let's say there's a mile-long straight road.
Yes, sir.
At the end of the road, there's 4 houses
Yep.
that just go into a court.
Yep.
When I look at that, the mile, whether there's somebody that's living at the front of the road that has very little advantage to paving that road because they're the first house on the road.
Yes, sir.
So the one really getting the advantage is at the end of the road.
True.
And those 4 houses down here that maybe their road isn't being improved,
You're
correct?
talking about Elmer Point, yes.
Correct. So everyone else is being assessed $1,700.
Yes.
You're only being assessed $434. There's
sir.
people that are not even going to have the benefit of the road that are also paying, Mr. Tucker, $1,100?
Everybody's benefit.
He's talking about Emerald Point.
Huh?
He's talking about Emerald Point.
He's talking about Emerald Point.
We're not Emerald Point, yeah.
But I understand,
Okay.
I understand where you're going with that. But the problem is, we weren't involved in the discussion. We were never included in the project. We weren't given that, and I've talked to everybody on our road. Not one person was included. They may have talked to somebody, but I don't know who it was,
when was
because I
your
can't
first
find
hearing,
it.
Tom?
So to not be included in the project,
Last
just
week.
because of snow shoveling, things like that, or road clearing, that's where we have a problem with this whole assessment.
Okay, that was Lee.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, sir, you're welcome to come up.
Okay, not that.
Please pardon me for not walking all the way around.
You're fine.
My name is Roger Polk, and I'm at 4120 on Four Lakes. And the only comment that I would like to make at this point in time is we did as much as we could to ask people at Crystal Cove to come and discuss it with them, and they were invited to be included. And the only thing we got back was complaints because we, by accusation, didn't like the fact that their kids were driving up and down the street on motorcycles, golf carts, and whatever. But to talk about actually being involved, getting involved with the road, and being part of it, never came back to us. And we had several meetings that they were invited to, and we had a lot of them that came that were represented there. So it wasn't totally blind that we alienated them and got it all shoved underneath the table and did it behind their back.
You do. Let them get a chance to talk to each other within 2 weeks.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome, sir. I did listen to every word you said.
Hi. Just in rebuttal to that, I mean, I know it's not, we're getting into the situation where it's not really your guys' issue, but just to ease your guys' thoughts on it. Fairly certain maybe 90% of the people that are sitting back here that are concerned showed up to the meeting at Mr. Shant's house and voiced these same opinions. In addition to that, we were given information like the last meeting when I brought those counter petitions, which we quickly learned didn't matter that I went and got. So us voicing our opinion has been 100% tenfold since the beginning of this process that we've been keyed in on. Thank you.
The district's already created.
Yes, sir. Oh. We'll do a couple more comments and then we'll have to call a vote.
I'm Tim Purble at Crystal Cove Court, 4270 Crystal Cove Court. They say there was notifications to Crystal Cove residents. If there were, they said they did it by social media. I don't think that's an effective way to communicate with people. I'm on social media quite a bit. I knew nothing about this. I didn't know anything about these groups. I just don't think that's the correct way to notify people. That's all I have to say.
May I say something?
Yes, go ahead. And then there was one other gentleman, and then I'll take one more and then that'll be it on the comments, please.
I'm Kristen Polk,
Oh, there.
4120 Four Lakes Avenue. I was part of the original group that tried to improve the road, and I was the one that was posting the invitations. And I specifically put invitations out as November, October of last year. And I can show them to you on the Facebook and the Nextdoor websites, and I understand how hard and frustrating it is that you didn't know. I wish you did know. I really do. But as an organization that is just our neighbors, we did everything that we could to inform you. In addition, there was a neighbor that put letters in all the mailboxes to join Nextdoor, which is the way to communicate within a neighborhood, and we post information. So those were put into mailboxes. Gary, how long ago was that? 2 years? Year and a half, 2 years ago. So we did what we could to inform people, and I understand it's frustrating to not have known. However, this is a neighborhood project. We're all trying to communicate as much as we can, and I did specifically invite people on Facebook last year, not June of this year, last year. So I just wanted to let that be known.
Okay, thank you. All right. Gentlemen, do you want it to go to vote tonight?
I think a gentleman in the black shirts.
But where did he go? Oh, there he is.
So just to point out, I was not aware of the effort to get quotes or any of the resurfacing of the road. Wasn't aware of any discussion about kids riding golf carts and motorcycles. This was completely foreign to me until I received this letter in June that was a petition to ask for signatures to participate in the special assessment. That was the first I was notified. I don't have Facebook connected to the PST, so I don't communicate that way, and I don't know that's an appropriate way to communicate for such an important issue that's going to affect our taxes. So
There's something we can do. We're really seeing a divided audience, but I'm really seeing a divided audience because I got two different road assessments right here. I look at Mr. Reynolds and he doesn't live over there on that part, and then I look over here. I'm hearing people just not understanding how it goes. You people, even if you don't have an association, you're welcome to come up and register and have the front room upstairs any evening of the week if it's not booked. And I think you got to just put your heads together. I think you got it, but it's hard. Like this gentleman said, you go to mailboxes and they pull them out. You know, you can't get this information out. But you got to come in there with an attitude of, I'm not fighting. I want this road or I don't want the road. And the road, now I'm just trying to sell you the road, but I shouldn't be. But the road is important for your property. And that's what you got to think about if you're going to sell your property. You cannot have a bad road in front of your road or your entrance. So I'm going to ask the board, do you want us to table this and let them all have one more meeting? We did it with we did it with Crane Lake on the weed control, and they made a decision.
Can I just throw some numbers out real quick?
Yeah.
Just so we know what we're dealing with. I'm just breaking this whole thing down, and I'm looking at a full share for $1,699 breaks down to $339 a year, $28.31 a month, and 93 cents a day. A quarter share breaks down to $84 a year, $7 a month, and 23 cents a day. So roughly what I'm looking at is about a penny a day per percent over the life of this thing. So I mean, if 25%, the Crystal Cove people will be paying 23 cents a day. And if we break it down farther, and we're arguing over 23% versus say 18%, that's going to knock it down 5 cents a day. So that's really what our argument is here. I'm not saying finances aren't important to everybody, but I mean, if we knock it down from 25% to 18 instead of 23 cents a day, you'll be paying 18 cents a day. Just so we know the monies we're talking about, broken down over 5 years.
If you delay it, it's going to kiss off this year. I mean, you're...
Understood. I'm just telling you the finances, about a penny a day, a percent for a share, roughly, and that's kind of a high estimate, actually.
Bonnie's talking about delaying the vote for another...
I understand that.
Oh, no, just delaying, like in 2 weeks, we have another board meeting. Within these 2 weeks, you people get together up in the room upstairs, make a decision, give it to Tom, we vote on it in 2 weeks.
Decision's been made, the petition's been signed. What do you need?
No, that's true. We can either do that, I can call a vote right now and get it over with. Depends on what the board wishes to do. What do you think, Vince?
I think that we should call the vote.
There's what?
I think you should call the vote.
Call the vote.
Yes.
I agree.
Okay, there. Call the vote, Gopal?
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
All right. We're going to call the vote. All right, I will close the public comments on that. Board discussion, we're going to call the vote. Resolution number 2017-19.
Really, 2018.
typo.
It's a typo. God, that's all I need.
That's why I corrected it.
All right. Resolution number 2018-19. Clerk Crew, will you present the resolution?
Yes, thank you. Resolution 2018-19 confirms special assessment roll 2018-03 as the assessment roll for the Four Lake Street Improvement Special Assessment District. It divides the assessments into 5 annual installments, with the first installment due on December 1st, 2018. Sets the interest rate at 1% above the interest rate on the bonds sold to finance the project. Provides an early payout option and assesses a 1% per month penalty on the late installments. Directs the clerk to deliver to the special assessment roll with warrant attached to the treasurer. Directs the treasurer to collect the special assessment, and this repeals any conflicting resolutions. I will move the resolution.
Do I have a second?
Support.
All in favor signify by saying aye. No, you don't want that one?
I want to do a roll call.
Roll call.
Something tells me.
All right, we're going to do a roll call. Roll call, please.
Shoemaker.
Yes.
Gopel.
Yes.
Tucker
What
can't
did
vote.
Gopel say?
Yes.
Yes.
2 yeses. Kessler.
Yes.
Lorraine.
Yes.
Mathis.
Yes.
I also vote yes. Resolution passes.
All right. I'm sorry to say, some of them are going to be unhappy, others going to be happy, but you're going to get your road in. So, Tom, how does it go from now?
Well, I'll notify the financial advisor, they'll get the bond issue going. Contractor can start at any time, but we won't have money in the bank for probably about 40 days.
How many days?
About 45 days.
40 days, okay.
Mid-September, we should have the money. It just takes
Okay.
that much time to get the bond issue done.
So we're August, we got September, October. Well, we got 2 months, maybe 2.5 months. Depends
get it
on
going.
November. Okay. All right, we're going into another one now. This is Dartmouth Drive Street Improvement Special Assessment District. The hearing is on the cost, pardon me? Okay. All right. This is the public hearing on revised cost of the special assessment for the Dartmouth Drive Street Improvement Special Assessment District. The low bid for the project was 63% over the road commission's estimate. Because the revised cost exceeds the previous estimated cost by more than 10%, the board will first hear comments regarding the cost increase and whether or not the property owner wishes to continue the project. After accepting the public comment, there are 3 options. Reject the revised cost and cancel the project. This would result in the property owner still being assessed by the Genesee County Road Commission engineering costs and require the entire process to be started over again. Reject all bids and request that the Genesee County Road Commission rebid the project for 2019 construction. Number 3, agree to the new costs and continue the special assessment process. All right. Tom, can they get a new bid before October? If they, let's just say they want to see what the new bid would be.
Well, the recommendation, if they want to rebid, the best thing to do is to bid it over the winter, because right now, any contractor that can do the work has already got the full plate and they're bidding high, which is what happened with this bid. The first time they bid it, they got one bid and it was double the estimate. They rebid it a second time, they got 3 bids, but the low bid is still $63,000 over estimate. And it's a factor of the timing, because in the summertime, the contractors have their work lined up. They're not gonna bid as competitively because they don't really need the work.
When did the bids go out, Tom?
June and July were the 2 times.
Yeah.
Yep.
Missed it.
So
They didn't want any business.
if it were me, I'd prefer to see it, I'd live with the road one more winter and get it bid over the winter. There's no guarantee it'll be lower, but I have to believe it's gonna be better than what we've got. But we need to hear from the property owners to see if that's what they wanna do.
Is this for a total rebuild or
It's a reconstruction and
Part.
fixing drainage, yeah,
Okay.
it's a long-term fix.
Okay. Oh, Bob, you want to talk? Oh, yeah, come on, Bob.
My name's Bob Reynolds. I know you can all hear me, right? I live on Darts Drive, and the majority of the people were for this motion at the beginning, and that's why we proceeded and had the petition and everything to repave it. But it is absolutely, I think, it's about 100% now that definitely do not want to move forward.
Okay.
Because of that increase was pretty substantial. And the road could have some real minor work done to it and it would be okay. The road continues into Westman at the other end, which is in the city of Fenton. That road at that end is the worst part.
It is.
And, I'm sure that we would all pay that amount of money if we could have the road completed end to end, but it won't go that far, and we have some minor, holes that could be repaired at a much less expensive cost to make the township's road passable and everything, so. And I think that everybody here, there's about 6 or 7 or 8 of us, we're all in agreement, I think.
That makes sense.
Hi, my name is Renee Love. My husband is the one that pretty much started all this, but today's first day of football practice, so he volunteered coaches, so you get me instead. We both talked about it. Honestly, the price is way too high. Unfortunately, I'm the person that lives in the worst part of the road, so we have the most to gain, and that's probably why we started this. I think it needs a little bit more than some minor work. However, for this amount, being the people that started this, I would say that, yeah, either we take another bid in the winter at the very least and try this again, but if that doesn't work, can we talk about perhaps then scoping it down to the section of the road that has to be fixed? I know it's better to have the whole road fixed, but I also listened to the contractors while they were out bidding. It's a very tight road. I don't think any of them wanted the work. They all complained about how hard it would be to get in and out of it. I heard them outside the window. So honestly, for us, I don't think anybody wants to pay this amount. I would like to see it rebid over the winter. I don't know what that's going to do. If that doesn't get this done, the road is crumbling. We have to do something eventually. But maybe we just rescope. I knew it was an all or nothing thing at first, but that's not affordable for the amount of houses that we have on the street. So, thank you.
Okay. To my board members, does it sound like they want to reject the bid?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Don't blame them.
So, I don't either. So what we're going to redo is reject the bid and request the Genesee County Road Commission to rebid the project for 2019 construction.
Rebid it in the winter.
In the winter,
Yeah.
which makes sense. But also consider that other part of Darts going down. You got new owners down there and everything. And where is she? And yours, I'm gonna see what I can do with road commission for your drain.
Yeah,
Pardon me?
I think the road the road commission is supposed to maintain the roads, fixing the potholes is part of maintaining them, and they're not doing it.
They haven't done. No, I understand that, but she's got a bigger problem than any of you with that drain in the gully that all the roads come into. That's what I'm gonna see, if there's broken pipes underneath, whatever. And we'll see.
I know they came and looked at Donner Drain and replaced it, not last year, but the year before. And they did a lot of work on it. But other than that, I don't know what else is.
Yeah, and we'll find out, and then Tom will get with whoever in regards to this. All right.
We should do a motion.
We need that then made into a motion to keep this
Okay.
active.
I would like a motion to reject the bids and request that the Genesee County Road Commission rebids the project for Dartmouth Drive special assessment in the year of 2019.
Support. So moved.
Roll call, please.
Mathis.
Yes.
Kessler.
Yes.
I vote yes. Gopel.
Yes.
Tucker.
Yes.
Lorraine.
Yes.
Shoemaker.
Yes.
Motion passes.
That's a good idea.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I was gonna argue you bought the big gun with you tonight, so.
At least we all agree.
Yeah, that is.
Party at Reynolds is after we're done.
All right, so I'm not doing 2009, this one, all right. Reports. Are there any committee reports to be made to the board? Any? Okay, I do have one. But I can go ahead and approve it with my own, but this, can I ask for the security cameras?
They need to see the proposals first, though. They need to see the proposals first.
We gotta get them
We
first.
gotta get all that together, yeah.
All right, I'll do it next meeting then. Communications, none. Adoption of ordinances, none. Unfinished business, none. Resolution 2018-21, authorizing a special assessment bonds for 4 Lake Street Improvement Special Assessment District. Operations Manager Tom Broker, would you please explain?
Sure. This is the next step since the role was confirmed this evening. The next step is a resolution to authorize the issuance of the bonds. The principal amount will be $200,000. It is, because it's a private road improvement, they are not tax exempt bonds, and that would be clearly stated in the documents and for the sale. And that's about it, other than Mr. Crew can summarize the resolution if there are no questions.
Okay.
Again, sorry to be problematic, but I probably shouldn't participate in this
fine.
either. So I would like permission, since I'm involved in the district, blah, 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 blah.
I moved Treasurer Tucker be exempt from voting. Support.
All right, I have to make a motion in regards to that again, don't I?
They just did.
You just did, okay.
Yeah, you got
So
a
we
motion in a second. Yeah.
Okay. Any board discussion? And we don't have this one. Yes, we do.
Yep.
Clerk Crew, will you present the rest?
Have to vote on John.
Oh, from you, Cindy.
You got a
Okay.
motion in a second, just call a vote on that.
But he made the motion. Do I have a second?
No, already did. There was a
Second,
motion in a
okay.
second down there.
All right, roll call.
Kessler.
Yes.
Gopel.
Yes.
Shoemaker.
Yes.
Lorraine.
Yes.
Mathis.
Yes. All right, now we're going to
Yes.
4 Lakes Bond. Clerk Crew, would you present the resolution number 2018-21?
Yes, thank you. That resolution determines the estimated useful life of the improvement is not less than 10 years, authorizes the issuance of $200,000 in special assessment bonds in anticipation of the collection of special assessment, designates the bond issue as 2018 special assessment bond, limited tax general obligation, taxable with maturity ranging from 2019 to 2023. Directs that the funds collect to make principal and interest payment on the bond be kept in a debt service fund. Directs the bond proceeds to be kept in a construction fund. Delegates specific responsibilities for the sale of the bonds to authorized officers. Confirms H.J. Umba and Associates as financial advisors. Approves Miller Canfield as bond counsel. Confirms compliance with Act 34 and repeals any and all conflicting resolutions. I'll move the resolution.
Support.
Roll call, please.
Gopel.
Yes.
Tucker.
Yes. Oh, sorry, present.
Lorraine.
Yes.
We're tired.
Mathis.
Yes.
I vote yes. Shoemaker.
Yes.
Kessler.
Yes.
Resolution passes.
Okay. All right, we have another resolution. Resolution number 2018-22, authorizing 1.8 million sewer bond refunding. Operation Manager Tom Broker, would you please present?
Yes, our financial advisor approached us with a suggestion we consider a refunding issue. I talked to Treasurer Tucker on it a few times, and he looked over the numbers as well. It's our 2009 issue, approximately 1.8 million left on that, and if approved, these bonds would not extend the maturities any longer than the current ones, but we would save about $200,000 in interest over the remaining life of the bonds. That's after all costs are netted out. So it seemed like a worthwhile effort to
Made a huge
save
difference.
some money.
So who's in favor of saving $200,000? Okay.
You
Yeah.
promised. You
Yeah,
said you
well,
would do it.
Yeah, but
that
you
helps
can't
our friends
vote.
from Chase here. They've been giving us really good rates on when we bid our bonds, so we expect that to continue.
Yes, yeah.
But yeah, it falls in the category of no-brainers, to be honest with you.
Yeah, you don't extend the term.
Is there
save
any
money.
board discussion?
Right,
Any other members in regards to this? All right, Mr. Krug, here we go again. 2018-22, would you present the resolution?
Yes. It authorizes the issuance of up to $1,825,000 in capital improvement refund bonds. Confirms that the final maturity date would be, let me try that again, will be no later than November 1st, 2029. The final maturity date of the bonds being refunded. Authorizes the bonds to be sold through a competitive negotiated sale. Confirms the qualified tax exempt status of the bonds. Delegates specific responsibilities for the sale of the bond to authorized officers. Confirms H.J. Umba and Associates as a financial advisor, appoints Miller Canfield as bond counsel, and repeals any conflicting resolutions. I will move the resolution.
Support.
Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Kessler.
Yes.
I vote yes. Shoemaker.
Yes.
Rain.
Yes.
Mathis.
Yes.
Gopel.
Yes.
Okay.
Tucker gets to vote on this one.
Yeah.
Oh, is this one you get to vote on?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Mr. Tucker.
I voted yes on the last one for this. That's what I was looking at, so.
Okay, how about
Let's move
this?
it over to this one. Yeah.
Okay.
Gotcha. Resolution passes.
Okay. Resolution number 2018-23, accelerated foreclosures on abandoned property. In future years, based on the recommendation from Genesee County Treasurer, the Township has adopted a resolution to allow accelerated foreclosure on abandoned tax delinquent properties. If a property is truly abandoned, faster foreclosure proceedings will help get the property back on the active tax roll. This resolution must be adopted once each year. Resolution number 2018-23. Clerk Crew, would you please present the resolution? Poor Bob tonight.
This resolution that abandoned tax delinquent property be identified and inspected and may be certified as certified abandoned property under the Certification of Abandoned Property for Accelerated Forfeiture Act and subject to accelerated forfeiture and foreclosure under the General Property Tax Act. I'll move the resolution.
Support. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Tucker, sir.
Yes, sir.
Lorraine.
Yes.
Gopel.
Yes.
Kessler.
Yes.
Shoemaker.
Yes.
Mathis.
Yes.
I also vote yes. Resolution passes.
The next item is proposed road improvement project. Laring/Fairbanks paved apron. This is through the CDBG fund amount that the township gets. Operation Manager Tom Broker, would you like to explain? Do you gentlemen know what the paved apron is? Okay, or the public? What it is on the end of both of these roads, we're going to have it paved because little children stand out there in the winter months in the mud, just plain mud, and it's dangerous. So we're going to widen the road and have the entrance for the children and also for the people coming in.
It's actually just the southern end of Fairbanks Road. If you remember, we had 5 intersections identified a year ago. Based on the original estimates of cost, we were able to do 3 last year. A couple of them came in under budget, so we had enough left over to do 1 more. So this is the one that is still remaining to be done. It's the corner of Fairbanks at Laring. The first 100 foot of Fairbanks from the intersection will be paved. We find that the road ends are the ones that get beat up the worst because of the brakes and everything else and the acceleration. So these have been very beneficial. This area is in the this intersection is in the area that's been identified through community development as low to moderate income based on census numbers, and so it's automatically eligible for community development block grant funding.
And since we have such a difficult time finding local use for that, I'm just pleased that we're able to come up with this.
Tom's done well on that one. He really has. And this one now, like he said, we'll have 5 of them done.
We've gone a number of years where we just couldn't find anything that qualified, so I'm glad we're able to come up with something.
All right. Any board discussion? I need a motion to approve Genesee County Road Commission local road project for a paved approach on Fairbanks at Laring Road at a cost of $28,801.27 to be funded by the Community Development Block Grant Funds as presented.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Support.
Any further discussion? Roll call.
Kessler.
Yes.
I vote yes. Shoemaker.
Yes.
Pardon me. Lorraine.
Yes.
Mathis.
Yes.
Tucker.
Yes.
Gopel.
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right. We have 2. Would you 2 like to speak for a minute? Introduce yourself, or you're going to get with Mr. Tucker?
We will, but that's fine. I'm kind of wondering why we're here.
Yeah.
Yvonne Tyler is our banker for Chase Bank that covers the governments and the not-for-profits throughout the Genesee County area. And part of the thing that we do when we're trying to help communities, we try to find out about them. This is probably a good way to meet where there's councils meeting and hear what's going on, what's important in your community. Part of her job is always to come back and find ways that we can help your community. So, sometimes people like what we say, sometimes they don't. So just kind of how we kind of operate. So we go to different communities periodically just to get a little better idea of what's going on in the community.
Yes, yeah.
And I've
Thank
actually,
you for letting us come.
I've been in banking for 34 years. Started with a smaller community bank that was purchased by NBD and Bank One and Chase. and I've been in the government sector just for the last 8 years, working mainly on government clients.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, I will open it up for board are there any board comments to be made to our board, from our board members?
I will say this. As you know, I've had to keep my mouth shut through all the special assessment stuff.
Yeah.
Having gone through that process, I have a newfound appreciation for how difficult it is to get these things in place and done. It's a lot of work. And, you know, the Four Lakes one was divisive, as you can see, but to get 60% of the people to sign off, it's very easy to find people to tell you no to spend money. That's not a difficult process at all. So I have newfound empathy because we've had many of these groups come in, and I thought that the method that was used to try and get approvals, I thought was a good method. It's still a lot of work. So when these people are coming in squeaking in at 51, 50 point whatever percent, I've got newfound appreciation for what they've done to get to that point. The other point I'd make is, you know, the full assessment is roughly $1,700. That's because the folks on Four Lakes are jumping on this early. Okay, Alan Lawrence has been out twice to look at these things. The next 3 to 5 years, you're talking about a total reconstruction, and the $1,700 assessment would be a $6,500 assessment. You look at what we had on Darts Drive tonight, that can happen in a matter of just a few years. So when people are saying, wait, don't do this, the notion that it's going to be cheaper or the same going forward is a really, really bad notion. Panema Drive is another example of what happens when these groups don't get out and deal with this beforehand. Now, pat everybody on the back, great, $1,700. If they'd acted even sooner, you probably could have gotten away with chipping and sealing, which would have been a lot less money. So we need to figure out as a board how to convey to all of these subdivisions, because we don't have money to do any of this. We need them to be on the proactive side, so they're giving $1,700 numbers ranging down to $400 numbers for people to digest, rather than $6,000, $7,000, $8,000 numbers that if they sit around too long and don't do anything. So it was a learning process for me, and somehow we've got to get to our people in these subdivisions to get to us before.
I'm surprised that all subdivisions don't have associations or just a membership, so that they have an annual meeting in regards to anything pertaining.
A lot of places do, but our subdivision, for example, has 3 different subs in it.
Oh.
So, you know, it becomes difficult, and then each of them have their own operating rules. What went down, as I understood, I kind of got into it after the preliminaries were made, but there was a group that 30 years ago, when the roads first went in, got together. And the roads that were in the assessment district were the same roads. And so they were just repeating what was familiar to them. And Crystal Cove Court had actually been repaved more recently than that.
Sure.
Now, I agree with the people that live down there. I wish they had been, I don't know how you get it, but I wish they had been more active in the participation and the invitation. But their road, in theory, is newer than the other roads that we're talking about resurfacing. But the reality is they need to do the same thing. They need to get together and do it before the roads get to the point where you're talking about $6 to 10 grand to fix them. And we've got to, as a township, figure out how to get this out to our communities, whether it's the associations or whoever it is, because we don't have money to do this.
No.
Jack, I know that there's guidelines. It seems like every time we come up against a special assessment for road improvements, because you know the state's never going to have the money to do roads. So this is going to go on for probably
ever
the future. Could the township set forth rules? The biggest complaint I hear is I didn't know about it. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. But I certainly believe these people that they got in the process.
I don't doubt it. I don't doubt it.
So to me, could we as a township require, he came out and said there's 134 houses. Even a postage stamp, that would have cost $75 to notify everybody. Is there a way that we could say, in order for you to do this, that is one of the requirements you need to do, is a mailing to everyone that's in the district or in that special assessment district? Because to me, if you don't have knowledge, to me, if you could get 100% participation, it would be great. You're not going to get that.
Right.
But if we could say part of the townships, you know, what we require is that everyone is notified, then if 51% comes to, we don't have anything to really vote on. That's what the people want. So all we're doing is, I mean,
This is all set up by state statute. And by state statute, every property owner should have gotten a notice for that first hearing, which that first hearing sets the special assessment district.
correct.
So whatever roads you want paved or whatever you want done, that's when that's done. But every property owner should have received a letter from the township.
And they did. They did. The problem is.
That's already, go ahead.
By the time that letter came, there had been a year and a half worth of meetings and decisions had made about who's going to be resurfaced and who isn't, and discussions about what the shares are, and that's what all the issues are that they're raising. So, you know, I understand the point.
But it's everybody's issue that's ever come up in front of us.
Yeah,
it's always been the same issue. It's either a money issue, or I wasn't involved in the process.
Yeah, well, what we probably could do, because they all end up getting funneled to Tom at the beginning, because that's when they needed to be involved. I would still think there'd be hope for them to try and get in and do, because they only have, I think, 16 houses that aren't in the district already. It's a manageable number that they might be able to just piggyback on what's already going on. But, you know, the point that I was making earlier, you gotta move fast on these, because if you don't, you let a year or two go by and 17 becomes 6,000, and then you really do have a problem getting anybody willing to pay that kind of money.
So Jack, what you're saying is that we had to, there's nothing the township can require, we couldn't say to it, in order for you to go through this special assessment where, you know, we as a township have an ordinance that says you have to at least mail by, we're required to post things in.
Yeah, but we do it because we have to under state laws.
Correct, for the first and the second reading.
Jack,
I'm
what he's
saying
saying
prior
is
to that.
make the associations contact 100% of their.
Well, I don't know that you can do that.
What if there's somebody that wants to be evasive and they don't want to be found?
Well, it's just like anything else.
If you say 100%, do you know what I'm saying, or somebody's incapacitated and they can't make decisions for themselves, that's a big burden to put on somebody that needs a road. You know, I understand where they're coming from. My concern was during the whole thing is, you know, it just seemed to me to do it all at once, everybody's would have been a smarter process. But that being said, I don't know if you can force, you know, the state statute 51% is 51%, whichever way you go about it. I think you're making people jump through a lot of hoops to get roads done, and there's people we've seen who don't want them done who will do a lot to make sure they are, if you asked 100%.
But it's not always 51% or a percentage of the entire special assessment. It's the percentage based upon the actual, in this case, road that's being developed or rebuilt, whatever. So you could have conceivably 10 people stopping 100 people from going through with some project, because only those 10 people live on this road that's being developed. Which, I mean, I've gone through this like 3 or 4 times here recently with various assessors around the county that did seem to catch on, and then they, for whatever reason, I don't know, I mean, it just all popped up.
I think what we've seen in the past is, you know, it's just easier to get the amount that you need legally and proceed instead of trying to make everybody happy. I mean, I know that's happened in the past, so I mean, you know what I mean? Instead of fighting another year for trying to get everybody on board, they do what they need legally, and it's legal.
And they all get notices. I mean, that's important to understand, that everybody gets a notice saying, we're talking about this special assessment district, here's what it is. So if somebody wants to expand it or limit it, whatever, that's when, for that first hearing, they should come and say, we want to do this.
But like John said, 90% of the work's done. They have to get the signatures, bring it in here.
No.
You know what, though, that's up to the people. We're collecting their money.
You could-
We can't do their bookkeeping.
Well, there's two ways to do these special assessments. One is based upon petitions, but the other way is just by board action. And even if it's based upon petitions, they still get a notice. And that can be changed at the meeting. I mean, and so the fact that there's people out there doing things, Mr. Barron would be glad to tell you how much work goes into campaigning, and come tomorrow, it all comes down to something.
All right.
And there's all this background work. So what happens here is, there may be a homeowners association that does all this, but that's the residents. And so from the township standpoint, we send out a letter saying, here's what we're talking about, this special assessment, regardless of whether it came from the homeowners or from the board.
I understand all that, Jack.
And-
I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm good.
Yeah, sorry.
There was a gentleman in the audience that had a question. Did they answer your question?
No.
Just talk louder then.
So by the time,
Here, why don't you come up here, yeah. And then we're gonna end it for public comment.
And I certainly appreciate all the effort that went into developing the assessment. I agree with Mr. Tucker that this was a lot of work. Unfortunately, we found out about it once the petition was sent out, okay? By the time the petition was sent out, our road, Crystal Cove Court, had already been excluded from the bid. So we didn't have an opportunity to include the expense of our road resurfacing in that bid. There was a follow-up meeting which that request was made, but no action was taken. So now we're going to have the burden of paying for our special assessment for the other road improvement. And when we have to have our road done, the cost is going to be incrementally higher per linear foot than the rest of the road improvement, because now we have to pay for the equipment to come back in and out to do our road. So we're facing additional burden because of the action of the committee that was doing this, because they didn't include us to begin with. That's really my issue with this, is that I
There's
feel like
nothing.
we're excluded.
Yeah, there's nothing you can do about that though.
What now?
Yeah, now.
No, but understand that when the township first sent a letter, when Mr. Broker sent out this first notice saying the township's considering the special assessment district, that's when the residents on that street could have came in and said, look, we want this street included within that special assessment district to be also paid. It doesn't matter what went on with the homeowners and the petitions and all that. That's the time when the residents could come in and say to the board, hey, we want this street paid too. So
And when was that?
when you got the first letter from the township saying they're
The
considering
road
the
wasn't on it, yeah.
establishment of a special assessment. It doesn't matter what went on as far as being passed around by homeowners and the association. I mean, that's the law. I mean, it doesn't matter what they do. It's the board making the decision, and when you get that notice, what it says in summary, I don't have a copy in front of me, but what it says in summary is the township's considering establishing a special assessment district to pave whatever streets, and that's when other residents would come in and say, well, yeah, we want to include Crystal Cove, for example, in that special assessment district to also be paid. And that's what that would have done. It doesn't matter what the homeowners association's talking about.
But we brought up that in the first meeting we were here. We did bring it up at last meeting.
I mean,
We
I-
voted on it regardless.
Now we can't do anything though about it now.
We've already set the special assessment district.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and then I'll be brief.
When I was talking earlier about the initial letter coming from an attorney's perspective, the petition they sent out to get the signatures had misinformation in it. Given a legal standpoint, should those petitions even be considered?
It doesn't matter what the information was. They could have said everybody's going to have a Ferrari or a airplane or a chicken or whatever.
So the cul-de-sac of Crystal Cove Court pretty much in addition to the other house that's here, we can then petition everybody else, since we're the 51% of Crystal Cove itself. We can send out a petition that says the road's going to cost $5. Here you go, sign these petitions, and then we can get our roads done.
Yeah, because but not for $5. I mean, you can get these petitions, those petitions.
Right, but nobody will know what the real price is until it's being voted on.
Okay, let me finish, please.
Okay.
So it doesn't matter what the petition says, because all those are expressing an interest in having the township look at that. And then so when the township sends out the first letter saying we're looking at a special assessment district, and it's very, very rare that Mr. Broker doesn't have some idea to start with what that's gonna cost. So if somebody says it's gonna be $5, you know, if you believe it, you believe it, you don't, you don't. But the township generally has some idea. And apart from signing that initial petition, what that indicates is an interest in having a special assessment district as set forth to the township. So then, when you get that notice, you come to the meeting and the township says, well, yeah, you thought it was $5, but really it's gonna be 5,000. That's when you go out and you get signatures, 20% to stop it, or you complain to the township.
I brought petitions the last time to saying that we didn't want it to happen, and those actually were ignored. I was told that those type of petitions don't even exist, so they weren't admissible.
I mean, I don't know. And it's not, if they weren't paving, and I'm assuming Crystal Court, if they weren't paving that road, those petitions don't mean anything. They're petitions from the people on the road. You can come and voice your objection to the special assessment formation, and then the numbers, and just like tonight's meeting, there was opposition and concerns voiced about how this is assessed, what the numbers are. Should these residents pay $400 or $4 or whatever, you know, formula you want to use to do that? And that was voiced. And that gives you certain rights further down the road when this assessment starts to come in.
What rights are those?
Well, you should go talk to an attorney, really. My function here is not to give you, but you should go talk to an attorney.
Yeah. What we got to do, because we've got other things to go on to this meeting, do you have one more question? I'm sorry.
Clarify, man. Jack, when you said 20%, you meant 20% of the actual frontage with the improvement being taken place, right? Not of the assessment district.
Not the district, just where the road is.
Yeah.
Just where the
So
road-
20% of the people on Four Lakes.
Yeah, that's the only road being paved, that's where all the percentages come from, the actual road.
Okay, I just wanted
being-
to out.
But I think the 20% is only if it's initiated by the township. If it's initiated by petition, they'd actually have to turn in petitions over 50% to turn it around.
If they, well, if they did that, but they don't always have all the information when they start that. So no, I think the 20%, then they have to go out again and get the over.
But it's the frontage directly affected by the
Right,
improvement.
not the whole district, just
Thank
where
you.
the
All
road's
right.
being paved.
Thank you.
Because what happens frequently, when the first petitions come in, they're saying to the township, okay, we want to have this road paved, set up a district, tell us what the costs are. Because when they first come in, you have no idea what the costs are.
That's true.
Or if it's the township board doing it, you really don't know what the cost is going to be. You may think it's really good. Some guy just started a new asphalt company and he's saying, I can pay this whole subdivision for, you know, $3,000. And well, then he gets busy, like Tom was saying, gets to be summer, and so all the rates go up like crazy.
Okay, thank you.
Did you want one more question, sir? Or no, you're all set? Okay.
Good for now, I guess. Thank you.
All right, now I will open it up to public comment on agenda or non-agenda items.
That's been a while. I'll take it.
Come on, Gary.
Sure, why not? In regards to the Four Lakes thing, I mean, I will, in respect to Crystal Cove Court, I'll take the hit for that. What we're dealing with here is it's a patchwork of 3 different subdivisions. You got the core subdivision, the main part, what we commonly refer to as Squanimus Shores, 4 Lakes Avenue, West 4 Lakes, Isle View, Sadler, and Squaw Lake Drive. And in another subdivision, Emerald Point, which is a different subdivision.
Yeah.
And then Crystal Cove Court. And the reason Crystal Cove Court got omitted is they're already under a separate special assessment district. They're not part of our assessment district, and plus they have a separate assessment district for street lighting, which we don't have. So that's why, I mean, granted, I see their point from a public relations standpoint. In terms of outreach, it probably would have been nice just to say, hey, we're planning on doing this. We didn't do that because they're a different neighborhood under a different assessment district.
It makes sense, Gary, but they didn't realize that.
Yeah, I mean, they have a different snowplow contractor than us. And this all started when I came in 2 years ago and I said, hey, wait a minute, why is our snow removal contractor gouging us? And our road fund was like $600 in the red. And that's kind of what started these meetings and everything. And, you know, in the old days, yes, we had a property owners association, but what happened, the road got paved, we had perfect paving, no one came to meetings anymore. So that's why the original road group disbanded.
Yeah.
Fast forward 22 years later, the road's busting out, it's like, oh, we got to get, you know, pull the group together, so. Now, some online, since I haven't had the honor of meeting Mr. Belzer yet, in the old days, you know, but Mr. Tucker here is too, doing some research, there's recommendations out there, and other townships do this, but with private roads, they recommend road maintenance agreements be set up. Does the township have a thought process on that? Would that be idea to set up a private road maintenance agreement, especially since there's
That
three
would be
different
tough,
subdivisions
yeah.
that fronts on these roads?
Almost impossible unless it's done right at the beginning when the subdivision is developed. And I've seen them where they actually do that when it's private roads. They spell out in the agreement how the costs are going to be allocated. But if you go back now in the scenario that you're talking about, you got to get every property owner and every lender to sign off on it. And it very quickly becomes impossible.
Oh, it's 100%.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So unless it's done at the beginning, you know, and the developers would be the ones with private roads that would do that, because at that point they own it all, you know, and then they could say, hey, here's how it's going to go. But to try and, in hindsight, retroactively get into that, not very practical.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
But again, like I said, Emerald Point, I guess, has a functioning site condo homeowners association. Crystal Cove had one, but I guess when more than 60% of the lots were sold, then the developer quit claim deed the association responsibilities over to the residents, and the residents just dissolved their respective associations. So they really.
That's good to know, though, Gary. If they come back and ever say anything, you know, to any of us, we'll explain it to them. I mean,
Okay.
that's so easy, what you just said. You know, but they got
That's
you.
why I come around from time to time, just to keep you
You
guys.
try to do something good and it doesn't work out.
Yeah.
So, well, thank you.
So I guess the last step is to appeal to the state tax tribunal. Is that going to derail this process at all?
No.
It just affects their individual assessments, and they'll spend more money fighting than the assessment is.
Yeah, don't.
Yeah, they're equivalent over $400, which I don't get anyway. It seems to be kind of silly. It's like they're taking more of an emotional argument than a
Well,
practical argument.
there was hurt feelings is what it was.
Yeah.
I don't think it was the $400.
Yeah.
I think it was just hurt feelings.
Mm-hmm.
On a somewhat related issue, my good neighbor Roger Polk brought up the issue. People nowadays love to have their kids drive the family golf carts up and down the roads, and this is getting kind of out of hand. And legally, I looked online, and you have to be 16, and you got to have a driver's license, even though it's a golf cart, and even though it's a private road, and there's kids just buzzing up and down.
That's right. That's right.
So I don't know if that's something the sheriff can kind of.
Somebody's going to get hurt.
They're going to get hurt.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm
Somebody's
coming in
gonna
at
hit
night in the dark, and they're running. They got a little flashlight out the front.
Yeah,
end of
yeah.
the
We had a
dark
near miss where somebody was
10-year-old
kid was driving and texting and almost hit a neighbor.
They're driving all over.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
still
they'll take
legal.
them off the road.
The laws of the road.
Yeah, we would have to. We'd have to
Yeah,
direct
we'll
enforcement.
I'll get the police on that, Gary,
Yeah,
to patrol more and just do a,
because I guess maybe they think, oh, it's a golf cart, it's okay, or it's a private road, oh, it's okay, but yeah,
well, that's
it's,
exactly what they're doing. But private, open, and public, same,
yeah.
you know, it's
Yeah.
the same laws apply as state road.
Just
Yeah.
park a cruiser in front of my driveway because they cut through my driveway and across my yard to get over to where
Over
Sean
to the
and
other
Shep
side.
are
That's
bad.
all day long, back and forth.
Somebody said they saw a golf cart on Ralston Road, so that's really taking it.
Yeah, well, that's
That's
because
bad.
I was
Yeah,
out in the
they're
yard,
perfect.
and the kids won't come through when I'm out there. They know better. Some of the parents come rolling through.
No, I think they go to the hayloft, the party store,
Yeah.
because they're going by my
Oh, the
place all
hayloft,
time.
sure.
No, somebody's gonna get hurt. It's
Yeah.
getting really out of hand.
Yeah, I mean, I saw a young girl like standing up in the back of one, it's like, you know, again, we got potholes in the road, all she's gotta do is topple off the back of that thing. Kind of scary,
No,
so.
not good. All right.
One final item since I'm up here. The former restaurant known as Triple C's, Spoon's Tavern, T-Bones, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. They got a sign out there on the road now saying boat slips for rent.
Oh, they're taking care of that. The code enforcement officer
They
is
shut
on
that
that
down?
one.
Because they got a marina license to do that, right?
What, is that the triple Cs that are, or is that the marina that's?
No, I went into the marina, and I said, is that your sign?
not
He
their
said,
sign.
no, that's
No.
not ours.
All right.
Supposedly, the realtor, whatever his name is, I guess that rumor has it, bought that property, and he put the sign up, and there's 5 docks out there, and there's 4 boats there right
Yeah,
now.
that's Myers.
Excuse me.
Remax Myers is the realtor for that.
Yeah,
So,
No, they're on it. They're on it.
okay,
All the numbers, everything have been registered.
okay.
Here I
all right.
go again, everybody. So,
Don't you have a cop
Okay,
Yeah, I
that's
got
fine.
Big rappers, yeah.
all right, is there anyone else for public comment? Steve, did you want to say something?
I'm good.
Huh?
I'm good.
You're good?
Yes, ma'am.
We're all set? No public comment? I will say good evening, what?
We gotta go into closed
Go
session.
into
Oh,
closed
shoot.
session.
All right, I need a motion to close the open meeting, to go into closed section.
Discuss pending litigation.
Pending litigation.
Who makes the motion?
second.
Specifically the litigation.
Christie Powell.
Okay, so I have to go.
Okay.
Can we take a break a minute?
Can I have?
Let's do a roll call real quick.
Roll call.
Lorraine,
If you wanted to see us or not, but.
yes. Mathis,
Do I vote in?
yeah.
No.
You want to be excused.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kessler,
Yes.
Gopel,
Yes.
Tucker,
Yes.
I vote yes, Shoemaker. We are now in closed session.
Before you do that,